Okay, interview take two. Uh, Lawman, I realized with the first attempt I forgot to ask the starting question. At this time, do you consent to a psych evaluation being done to
Yes, I do.
you after this interview?
Yes, I do.
All right.
I
Uh,
consent.
all right. And do you understand that at any point you may withdraw this consent if you feel uncomfortable or unjustified for the psych evaluation at this time?
I do consent to that as well.
Uh,
Or
sorry,
understand, sorry.
no worries. Just wanted to make sure I clarified. I didn't want you confused, sir. Uh, okay, so as mentioned in my first attempt at this interview, which I horribly botched, there are rumors that allegedly you blacklisted an individual with little to no proper reasoning or evidence. Key word of that being allegedly. Uh, I would like to hear your take on what occurred, what you heard about the matter, and anything else you feel that should be known by IA and other respectively authorized individuals.
Alright, so is it fine if I just tell you the story from what
That is
happened to start
perfectly
to end?
fine, sir. We are wanting to hear your side of the
Alright.
matter.
Alright, so I came out of Owing when I got back on site. Sorry, let me
Attention
just
all
stop the
Site 9
sound.
personnel. The site status has been changed to code yellow. Isolate and neutralize
Alright,
all
so
threats.
I was coming out of Owing after I just got back on site. D-class were inside of the armory. I requested some STRU and SWD to come kill them because there was more than I could handle at the moment. So I killed one of them, then STRU came in and he asked me for permission to use a flamethrower on him, which I denied because you're not allowed to use flamethrowers on personnel. So that was just one of my witnesses, or not witness, sorry, that's one of my arguments I get to use for a second time that he's been wanting to use it on FO personnel, or not FO personnel, D class, or any personnel in general that he's using it on. So I think he's unfit since he suggested the first time. Second time, I walk into D block doing my patrol. Next thing I know, I see him torching up a D class with a flamethrower. Accidentally, I don't. It was accidentally putting three security guards on fire. Pretty sure they all died from the burns afterwards. And then I gave him 16 strikes because special forces are striked as NCOs, so that means four murders would be striked as 16 because four, and then and then it would be 16. I only demoted him to JSMO. I gave him off easy. My CO suggested that we permanently blacklisted him, which they did. I had nothing to do with that. I was going too easy on him for this. I talked to his special force lead, and he agreed that he should be kicked out. He was the one that removed him from that. That is what I have to say there.
All right. I do have some personal questions on the matter,
Mm-hmm.
which, if you're fine with answering, you are fine with declining the questions if you do not feel comfortable or if you feel that they are not worth answering. Uh, Firstly, the first question would be: do you feel that there is justifiable reason due to a previously surprisingly clean record that his blacklist should be removed at any point in the future? This is not saying like right after this interview, just in the near or distant future, do you feel the blacklist may be justifiable to remove, seeing his previous history on record has been rather clean?
His history, as I have known, has been clean in general, but this, from what I have saw when he did that, he had murderous intent, and I think he was going off the deep end. Nobody in their right mind would burn someone alive, and then just it's pretty much end-to-end torture. You're burning someone alive. So I felt the need that every special force was equally treated if they did this. 16 strikes for four murders. And then if you look at our strike thing, we don't even have 16 strikes. That's over the limit, so it's permanent blacklist. But I decided to give him JSMO like I decided, and then yeah, and then my COs did the rest.
I understand, sir.
Like I,
To further clarify, the question was: do you feel that due to his previous record, it is justifiable for him to allow a hypothetical appeal in the future uh, to not necessarily regain his ranks, but to be allowed back into security and potentially special forces if he earns it?
I will say this now as a deputy chief. I will never let him back into special forces, but his permanent blacklist can be revoked after a time trial. I want him to get a psych eval before he actually gets his permanent blacklist lifted.
Alright. I believe that's all I have on that topic, but there were a few other matters that we did want to ask about. For example, there was a recent document that was spread by the news division. I'm sure you've come to see it. It supposedly came from the light containment zone, which, typically speaking, is under security jurisdiction. Do you have any idea, if any, when this document was found, maybe when it was created or put in the light containment zone? Do you have any information on this document at all, or its supposed author who signed under the name Nobody?
Fun fact, since I saw the document, I've had a couple of my other buddies tell me about it, and I looked into it, and it's fake news, so I did a little bit of digging. The author is White Monarch on the site. That is what I've been told. I've been lied to a couple times, but everybody ended up saying White Monarch. I tried to confront him, but he left site before I could do it. This is as I know it of. As I know that researchers have a biased opinion against me right now. They dislike me. I know that they don't have a good word for me because of what I've done on research and my tests, but that doesn't mean I do a bad job on this job. I just like to put it out there.
Understandable. And what is it specifically that you've done within your apologies. Yes, can I help you, Scott? Yes, it was a question relating to a document that's been passed around. Apologies, Scott. I will gladly ask you more on the matter later, but currently I'm interviewing Lawmen. If you can come look for me after the interview, I'd appreciate it, though. Thank you, Scott. Apologies for the interruption. You mentioned your previous research career, which, to my understanding, is still at least somewhat ongoing. What specifically within research leads you to believe that other research personnel have a distaste for you?
Have distaste with me?
The way you spoke suggests that they have a distaste or distrust towards you. You mentioned previous research testing. My curiosity is, what specific testing or activities do you believe led to this negative relationship with other research personnel?
The negative relationship that I've heard from other people was that, so I did a test on a D class trying to cure Ebola, so I had to take some of his blood. And it escalated from there, and then I got charged with a couple crimes. I think the crime was resisting arrest. That's as I know of, and I've known that ever since I've gotten these strikes in research that they've kind of shunned me away, and they don't really like me based off that.
You mentioned other events happening during that test. You mentioned things happened. Could you give me a little more of a detailed account, if you feel comfortable doing so, about the incident?
So, like, what do you mean by it?
Well, you suggested that something happened which led up to the arrests during your testing to find a cure for Ebola. Do you recall the specifics of the testing?
The specifics of the testing was that I got one D class that consented to it.
Okay.
Sorry, I was interrupted by something.
No worries.
What was I saying, by the way?
You were saying the test relating to curing Ebola. You had a D class which you claim was willing.
Yes, I asked any D class that is willing to consent to help cure Ebola. One of them said yes, and then I went up to him, I brought him into his cell, and I asked him, I'm going to do a couple checkups on you, alright? If you want me to pull out or stop doing it, then I'll stop, alright? And then I proceeded to check his knees if he had any reflexes for that. Then I proceeded to, I think it was check if his fingers were like stiff or not, if they had arthritis. And then the third one is that I had to take a blood sample from him, so I took it out of his neck because that's where the most blood comes out of easily, right? So I took it, and then I did it, and then he went around accusing me of that he didn't consent to it, which was false. And then I had a whole issue. I resisted arrest because I was very mad about the situation, about how he was lying. So that was that.
I see. And you mentioned that this was in the D class's cell, so you were in D block at the time?
Yes, because apparently that we were prohibited from going into D block at the time without anybody. Security was incapable at the time to help me with my research, so the best I could do was not cuff him and bring him to his cell and do it there.
Okay. I believe relating to that topic, if there aren't any other comments you'd like to make, that would be the last of that topic I can think to question about. There is one last topic we wanted to ask about, but firstly, on the first two topics that we've discussed, is there anything else you'd like on record to be said?
About me in general, or just about that situation?
About the last two topics we had. Firstly, the blacklist of a previous specialist, and secondly, the D Block research incident. Are there any comments you'd like to make about either of those that you feel hasn't been made already?
Yes, I would. About the blacklist. People can't handle criticism. I become more strict when I
Attention all
got
Site 9 personnel. The site status has been changed to code.
I will say this one more time. People can't handle criticism. If I become more strict, people will dislike me more because of criticism. It's a general thing, but I'm not afraid to be hated by it because I'm doing my division a better note on it. They become more happy with the division, they have more fun. That's the main goal.
Alright.
Also, about the second one, I have no word.
Thank you. There is one last topic which relates to the news debacle, the article that was spread in Light Containment Zone. We have heard rumors of a potential petition being made against you, and there, of course, are rumors that this was already something you were made aware of. How do you feel, or how do you think is the appropriate response to this potential petition? How do you feel on this petition? I suppose in general what I'm trying to ask is, do you have any comments you'd like to make about this petition and the grounds they seem to be trying to stand on?
Yes, I do actually. I was aware of this petition since it was ever introduced to the person that made it, which I do not know. It's just I'm keeping that to myself and whoever else. Um, the pension was created when I wasn't even flagged on or on site for one day at least as DHOS. They're deciding they're assuming how I would do as a DHOS off of something I did in research that they didn't disliked, or they disliked me as a person, what other people said. So I would like to say that this pension is invalid because they have no right to make a pension about something I haven't even done yet as a DHOS. I haven't done anything wrong as a DHOS, and I'm proving to them right now that I'm making this security better.
I see. In relations to not having done anything wrong, uh, personally, I've heard reports, and please feel free to clarify on this matter, that you have given security the obligation to guard you with kill words. Uh, is there any truth to this, or is this simply rumors made by individuals who look to soil your name? Do you have any commentary on this supposed kill squad?
This kill squad, there's no such thing as a kill squad. The kill order thing, it's not going to say anything about it. But I do have a squad, a bodyguard that protects me when Gamma 1 and A1 is not available to protect me. They have other duties such as Unluckiest or an SAS Site Director. I'm a DHOS and I have a special force protecting me, and that's our last priority. This is because I am easily be able to be kidnapped and I need protection. And Gamma 1 has not became on site yet, and Alpha 1 is more interested in site administration as site director.
I see.
But they have the same, I'm just going to say they have the same duties as a bodyguard. So if they feel that someone's going to kill me, then they have the right to shoot them as anybody would. Am I correct? Because I'm just going to say this again. I'm already being hated by research. Earlier this morning, there was assassination attempt by a researcher when I was on debrief stage. And if I didn't have my bodyguards there on SWD, I wouldn't have died.
Do you have the name of this individual who attempted this assassination, perchance?
Dr. Moti or something? I think it's Dr. Moti. I don't know.
I see. I'll make
It's
sure
Dr.
to see if
Moti
we
or
can look
something.
into this matter. I suppose there was one more question relating to the document that I foolishly forgot to ask. There is some question about, and although I understand you're not under questioning, Unluckiest, if you'd like to chime in on this one, I more than invite you to if you'd like to. There are some questioning about how a infiltrator was able to beat the record for your obstacle course and how it went unpublicized for so long to the general public. There are questions over whether this was simply groups of interest being far better than expected or a failure from enlisted and higher security personnel. Do you have any comment to make on this concern?
That's an excellent question. As far as you know, the how that was able to happen, I would say security. Listen, I'm not going to cut them some slack and say that it should have been that is this happening is okay, because it's not. The fact that a group of interest was able to have an infiltrator now have access to our training zone and the new combat fitness test, that's not good. But I will say that security at times, some of them get a little lax. They will not always be checking IDs, especially in training. So from time to time, I guess something like that, like a CI infiltrator coming in, beating the record for the CFT time, will happen. That's definitely a first that it has happened. So from now on, we will be taking precaution as best we can.
All right, Lawman, do you have anything you'd like to try adding to that, or do you feel that Unlucky's covered it relatively well?
About the infiltrator?
Yes, and how some are questioning if it was a failure from enlisted or higher ups, or simply just a surprising success from a group of interest.
I wasn't on the site, but I just like to say
Four
that
seven.
I just like to say that we have like no jurisdiction to ask for keycards unless it's a CO. But if it was an enlisted fault, I don't know. I wasn't on site, but I just like to say that I have no idea. I wasn't on site, so.
Understandable. I believe that's all I can think to ask, and I've been instructed to ask on the matter. Is there anything either of you gentlemen would like to say for the record, just so it's on recording?
Yes, I would like to say something. Everybody that is just making this pension, making these assumptions about things that are not true. I have no issue of you coming up to me and saying what I am doing wrong. I am planning to fix if you have an issue with me, and if I find the issue is invalid, then I will tell you that. I am working my hardest, and I will try. If you don't tell me what I'm doing wrong in your eyes, then I cannot fix it. That's all I would like to say.
Thank you, Chief Unluckiest and Deputy Chief Ken Lawman. Assuming you still consent, I can get the psychologist down here for an evaluation. We can do it here or elsewhere, depending on your personal preference, but beyond the psych eval, if you still consent, I don't need to take up any more of you gentlemen's time.
I consent to the psych eval.
Great. I will end this current recording. I will then call down a site psychologist. We can go into the general room if you want, or we can wait back here. It's totally on your personal preference.
I'd like to do the psych eval only with you three and the person doing it, if that's alright.
That is perfectly fine, sir.
Because this is a level 4 clearance psych eval, so I would like only a certain amount of people to be there when I have it.
Completely understandable, sir. I will go ahead and end the current body cam recording, call down the psychologist, and when they get down here, then I will start up a new one.